Welcome to the White Sox REKAP Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. We've turned the calendar to June. And yes, while White Sox fans have boasted that they have a better record than the Cubs heading into the month of June, things are going to be a little bumpier this month. And that comes without slugger Munetaka Murakami, who was just named AL Rookie of the Month for the month of May, rightfully so. Now the White Sox face a gauntlet. They get the Braves. They get the Yankees. They get the Dodgers. They get the Guardians. Can they do enough to survive the month of June without their top slugger? Brian Anderson's here. Jonathan Hood's here. We're going to talk about all that's good with the White Sox. But Chris Getz's comments have been particularly eye-opening as well, saying the team has done enough to be worthy of going for it in 2026. I think we need to dissect those comments a little bit, but can they get through June? Can they tread water without their slugger, Munetaka Murakami, well enough to turn the corner in July and be still considered contenders in the American League Central? BA's here, Hoodie's here. It's Ryan McGuffey. It's the White Sox REKAP Podcast, and it starts right now. All right, BA and Jonathan Hood back together on the podcast. And guys, the White Sox are still winning baseball games. Now, there's been some frustration maybe in the Minnesota Twins series as they've gone onto this road trip. They got the Phillies coming up. The gauntlet of June is ahead. I mean, the Phillies are playing much better baseball, but you heard me in the intro there talk about the Braves, the Yankees, the Dodgers. We've known about this schedule for a while. You're going to play these teams anyway. But it comes at a major cost because the buzzkill that happened last week with Murakami going down with a grade 2 hamstring strain that's out 4 to 6 weeks, man, it like popped like baseball's biggest story balloon. But then they go out and sweep the Tigers. And the offense is still showed up against the Twins. There's been some frustration. I think they just haven't had enough in the arms. But I guess the question is, guys, and Hoodie, I'll start with you. Does this team have enough to withstand the month of June? You heard Getz, and I want to talk about the Getz comments in a little bit. Getz is talking about going for it a little bit in 2026. Can they survive this month without Murakami, Hoodie?
I believe that they can, even though Murakami, and I miss that guy. I mean, he's the American League Rookie of the Month. He missed the 382 on base percentage. He missed the 938 OPS. He missed the 8 homers, and he missed the 1819 RBIs. But the reason why that can take solace in the Sox being able just to tread water, if nothing else, while Murakami's out, is because of Montgomery and because of Mydroth and because of Vargas. I'm completely wrong about Vargas. One of the more wrong things I said leading into the season, I didn't think that Vargas would be a catalyst, and he really has been. So I feel like that the Sox have enough interchangeable parts to hold on while Murakami's out.
You have to. I mean, Hoodie's exactly right. You have to be able to piece these games together. That's why it's called a baseball team. They're not called the Chicago Murakamis for a reason, you know? Like, and again, like, you have these two great players offensively, but the guys who really need to step up, and the big name guys are obvious, but the Edgar Carrolls have to step up, right? You know, the Tristan Peters, those guys have to really come up to the plate and come up there with a purpose and trying to do damage. I mean, you have to make up for somebody who's leading, top 3 in homers in the league. And Murakami he brings that presence, and he also brings like the energy in the dugout. So, he's going to be in there. Your boy Vassal's going to be in there with the wand and all that garbage. But hey, I like the guys. This is where like teams come together, and you can't rely on one player. That's why we were so deep back in the day. Someone would go down. It's like next guy up mentality.
I think what we've seen is how Murakami has changed the lineup, no doubt. I mean, he's lengthened it, and he's taken pressure off of Colson Montgomery and Miguel Vargas. But I think those guys are better suited now to wear that hat. I think they're better suited to have that spotlight. Look at Miguel Vargas, for God's sakes. Mooney goes down. You go back to Friday night, that incredible walk-off home run. What he's done in the Twins series. Miguel Vargas, if he gets screwed out of the All-Star game, it's flat out screwed. I tweeted something the other day, and this doesn't include some of the full Twin series. First in home, this is for AL ranks among third basemen. First in homers, first in RBIs, first in runs, second in walks, second in stolen bases, second in OPS, and fourth in hits.
Wow.
Star.
I think the fact that, the fact that it's not an all-star, I mean, the greatest part about our conversations on this podcast is that we were, the last 2 years, like, who's going to be the White Sox one guy? Now we're like, it's crazy how when things happen for a team and you start to get some buzz and some energy, you're like, now we're pissed that it's not 3 or 4 guys, right? Like, Vargas has got to be in there.
Yeah, I think you talked about guys stepping up. Tristan Peters has been one of those guys that have stepped up. There are guys that are going to have to raise their – Edgar Carroll's going to have to step up at some point anyway.
Or just show up.
Show up. He's hitting 180. But look, This is the schedule. I want to pull it up. And the schedule's the schedule. It just happens to be that this is who they play at this particular time.
Oh, my God, Ryan. You're going to scare everybody with this.
Well, you said that last time, though. You said that last time, and the White Sox have been doing great.
This is why the topic is the topic, guys. Like, I was ready for these teams. I was ready for these teams with this lineup. I still am. They've proven without Murakami, they can still score runs in the early going here in the first week without Murakami. And at some point, you got to play the big dogs, and then the schedule balances itself out. I mean, if you look across town, the Cubs are in a stretch right now where they're playing 15 games against the A's, the Giants, the Rockies, the Giants, and the Rockies. This is going to be the point where they look back at their schedule and say, we either did this or we didn't. And that's going to be the meat and potatoes as to why, if they go 500 or
you mean the El Paso Rockies or the Colorado Springs Rockies?
Pretty much. So the White Sox go at Philadelphia, home against the Braves, home against the Dodgers, at the Yankees, at the Tigers, where they can officially tell Detroit that they're selling, home against Cleveland. I mean, so here's what I'm saying, dude. I'm totally fine if they go 2-4 in the homestand against the Braves and Dodgers. That's pretty good. That's head above water. That's head above water. Even if they lose 2 out of 3, let's say they go 3-6 against the Phillies, Braves, and Dodgers. You're okay. You're okay. The key is what you do in the back half of that stretch against the Tigers and the Guardians. Hoodie, that's why I say, yes, this team's capable of surviving, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what they do in the American League Central. And thus far, they've shown they're a different team in division than the last 2 years.
So 2 things that work here, especially offensively. If the Sox don't slug their way through a game to win, they can manufacture runs as well, provided that they have good pitching. There's a lot of different parts with the White Sox when it comes to that, right? Are you going to be able to just hit a whole bunch of home runs and be able to beat a team 8-6, one of these tough teams, or will you be able to have pitching that will tamp it down? And if you got a bunt and sacrifice and Ned Yost your way to a 3-2 win, can you do that as well? I've seen both for the White Sox.
Yeah.
So that gives me solace that the Sox can do both. It's one thing to BA to be just one kind of team that just slugs, that just, we can't win unless we hit a whole bunch of home runs. At least with the Sox team, they've done it with speed, fundamentals, and the little things as well to win games. So I can say that you can keep your head above water if you can do both of those things, provided that you've got good starting pitching that can give you some length.
Yeah, not to mention, too, I mean, if there's ever a time for, I remember scuffling in 2006, right? I could not get above the Mendoza line to save my life. But in June, I had to really step it up. July, I had to get hot because, the season was in the, we were dead heat of things. We were in the mix. Guys were going down. And it wouldn't kill Edgar Carroll to get above the Mendoza line. That would be a great time.
You're all over Edgar Carroll.
Yeah, I'm all over.
Edgar Carroll.
Hey, I'm bitter.
Carroll paw.
He was my pick to click this year. But, on a side note, I think as a fan, selfishly, with Murakami being out, I was really hoping he'd be healthy for that Dodgers series. Can you imagine? But can you imagine him and Shohei Ohtani? Yeah. That would have been
and in Chicago, by the way. The first time in Chicago. I think.
Is there any chance of him being back? I mean, no. I know grade 2, so I was thinking that's at least a month. So
yeah, they said. Will Venable, the team has said 4 to 6. We've seen how it's taken for Kyle Teal.
Dude, what? It's been a year.
Well, he's a catcher as well. Now it's affected his knee. Let's hope. And there's some frustration in the injury because it's oh God, you have PTSD from all of the nagging running to first base we've seen in the last 5 to 8 years. But you can't you can't dog the guy for hustling. He was running out as he does every damn time, trying to break up a double play, trying to beat out the other end.
They call that the anti-Luis Robert.
The anti-Luis Robert. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He ends up like Luis Robert. But sometimes you catch a break, and we don't know. The Yankees are holding their breath right now on Aaron Judge. He's going to see a specialist about a bone bruise. There'll be more news, I'm sure, as you guys are listening to this podcast. There's some sense in New York that he might be headed for the IL. This is the part of the schedule. That's why you can't make excuses about injuries, guys. The White Sox are without Munetaka Murakami. They're without Kyle Teal. Yet here they find themselves right in the midst of the AL Central, right in the thick of the AL wild card. And you heard Chris Getz say it. And I want to pull up those comments here, but I want to go back to the pitching real quick that you mentioned, because I do think I don't want to. That's a huge part of this entire equation that I don't want to get lost in the shuffle. The White Sox are kind of in experimentation mode in their rotation right now. Okay. Davis Martin had his first clunker of the year. I think we all expected at some point there would be one of those. It came early. He's still got a 2.61 ERA. I think we know Davis Martin's going to be fine. You have Anthony Kay, who pitched extremely well. I'd like to throw the tagline to Jonathan Hood here, please.
Every pitch begins with K.
Thank you very much. So he had a great May, and his ERA is now in the high threes. Noah Schultz still on the IL. We've seen good and bad from David Sandlin. Really good in a debut. Couldn't find a strike zone.
Yeah, can we talk? Hey, I mean, like, baseball is all about consistency, man. Like, talk about the best you could do first game and then the crappiest you could do the second.
Here, I heard Stoney on the radio bring this up, and it's a valid point. I always find it weird when teams, even like Davis Martin, you can say Joe Ryan, the White Sox got to Joe Ryan in the second start. When you have to face a team back-to-back, I'm going to ask you as a hitter, what's the advantage as a hitter seeing a guy for the second time in a week?
Well, it depends. Like, I remember Ted Lilly with the Cubs, right? Ted Lilly could have told me what he was throwing. And when he was up there, I'm like, damn, I got no shot. Just as funky. He'd never throw a fastball out over the plate. He'd carve you up. He'd backdoor stuff. So I think it goes both ways. If you're feeling good and you're seeing the pitchers well, you want to keep facing them. You want to stay in the division, right? But the times I'd go to Cleveland, it'd be like Cliff Lee, Jake Westbrook, and CC Sabathia. I'm like, get me the fuck out of here.
Grab some bench.
No, one time I think there was a consecutive start streak. Ozzy and I were kind of like trying to map it all out, and he was like frustrated because I wasn't hitting well and the fans were on him. And he's like, all right, I'm going to give you a couple days off. He's like, I'm going to let you start. You can start the next 5 games. It was Johan Santana, Francisco Liriano, Cliff Lee, CC Sabathia, and then Randy Johnson. And he's like, go get him. I went like 3 for 25. And
those are 4 Hall of Fame records.
He's like, see, he can't hit. I'm like, we had 6 hits the whole series. What are you talking about?
Well, I heard Stoney talk about how it's already a disadvantage for pitchers, but veteran ones don't have a problem with it because you need to show different. You have to flash your secondary pitches and your second start more than the fastball you've shown them for the dominant start you had prior to. With Sandlin, he said for a rookie, it's almost impossible. And he even said, I knew we were in trouble with Sandlin because this was a guy that they had very little film on him. And the film was, this is how he got to you. And he's going to come back in only a second start and try to get him out the same way. So Sandlin's still a wild card, right? I think the Fedde experiment is starting to near its end. And we saw Hagen Smith get a little further stretched out in his last start in Charlotte.
9 Ks?
9 strikeouts.
Golly.
He's still, the command is a thing, but the pitch count is getting up. He went 4 2/3. I think that feels like the natural progression.
Hey, his pitch count's getting up. They're letting him throw 50 pitches now. It's great.
No,
yeah.
Really go deep.
And then we have Sean Burke, who has shown when he can control, and you heard him here on the podcast last week, he had really good stuff to say. I think there's been good, but in a bag, there's still a lot of questions there, Hoodie. Like, the White Sox need 3, like Kay has stepped up. Davis Martin's been fantastic. Who's that third guy to take the reins? And if you can get that guy to take the reins this month, again, I think they have enough to survive from a slugging and offensive standpoint right now without Murakami.
I wish that Schultz was healthy because that would tell a great story of whether or not he could solidify number 3.
Yeah,
it was up and down, but not necessarily really downs for Schultz. I wish that he was healthy because I think that we would know who the number 3 guy is. The number 3 guy, by the way, may not be on this roster yet, and that's why we're going to lead into the sound here. from our general manager, because maybe that will tell a story.
Hey, Hoodie, what do you think? What do you think about this? You know, we talked about it on the last podcast, or a couple ago when Guff interviewed Huddy, but I don't hate the opener idea. I don't hate throwing Hudson out there, try to get through 2 or 3 innings, 1 run, 2-3 hits, and then get to the next guy. I like that. I think nowadays in baseball, especially, a lot of these teams kind of quit. Like I've watched enough baseball now this year where I've really taken a deep dive. It's like teams go down 2-3-0, it's over. Like even if you like bet on games or watch them, that goes to like 800+ if they go down 2-0. Early. It's crazy. So I like the idea of sticking it to them and knocking the wind out of a team's sails, especially with Hudson. He's so nasty. It would be tough to let him go through the lineup, try to get him through the lineup 1.5 times.
They did that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would DFA Fetty too.
I like it. The nice way and then the more matter-of-fact way.
But Cup, wasn't he kind of saying that at the same time? Because I didn't mind that early. I feel like the Sox are beyond having
opener,
trying to have an opener. I think, and I understand that there's some issues here on the back end of the rotation. But if you're saying it without saying it, BA, like you want Fetty to be DFA'd, say it. Because
Guff and I fought so hard in the offseason to get him back.
Yeah, but I was hoping that there was another more stable veteran. Maybe it is Anthony Kay, because he's been nice and surprising. But like, you can't afford now where you are as a contending ball club, and that's who the White Sox are. Yeah. Like if you told me their record right now was, like 20 and 30, whatever they
run them out there 3 more times.
They're 20 and 41 or something. Fetty away, but like I have different expectations for this club now. I think we all have, and I think Chris Getz have. You mentioned the comments. I don't have. James Fegan spoke to Getz up in Minnesota, and this quote stood out because it differs from the things that he had said earlier this year. We are focused on 2026. I know I have stated that it's not about 2026, but this team is playing really good baseball. We know where we are in the standings, both within the division and the wild card, and we're monitoring it. If there's opportunities to add to this, we're going to do that. That is what you want your damn general manager saying, because the window is open right now to go try to get into the dance in 2026. Do I think the White Sox can win the World Series? Of course not.
How dare you?
Do I think Chris Getz can thread the needle and get better without giving up some of these guys that are on the way? Of course I do. Of course I do, Hoodie.
Well, he's obviously the Sox have surpassed his own thoughts on what the one-loss record would be too. So now you have to adjust as a general manager, right? He thought, and I've been saying this a lot, Sox are all about development. Well, now you're kind of past that because you've been able to win as many games as, say, the Cubs. No one expected that. So now look at him. So now what he's saying is, by the time we get to the deadline, when we ask the question, are you going to hold, will you buy, or will you sell? He sounds like he's open for business. And by the way, if that's the case, find yourself a pitcher and then go for it. Like, I don't expect the world for the White Sox, but I just know one thing. Imagine if you had starting pitching or an extra at-bat that's in that lineup. Now you just go for it and see what happens.
I like to speak based off experience, and I'll tell you one thing I learned about the game of Major League Baseball more than any other sport. We thought about it when we won in 05, and I'm sure Cappy and the Cubbies thought about it in 16 when they won. Everyone's thinking dynasty, and now how many championships can we win? There are no guarantees in baseball, and there's no guarantees the White Sox are going to be on track like they are this year, next year, right? Injuries, like trades, whatever. Things go south. There's like usually 3 catastrophic events that happen every year. Injury, you go on a skid, someone, like some distraction in the media, whatever that may be, but there are no guarantees in Major League Baseball, and you have to strike while the iron's hot. I mean, when the White Sox have been good for the first time since 2021, it's been 5 years. I don't think you can let off the gas. If you're in that 3 to 5 game out mark, you gotta go all in.
I'm cautious to go. Like, you telling me all in is like you can go get Freddie Peralta.
Well, but I'm saying if you can, because you have depth like Jacob Gonzalez and even Hagen Smith, you can package them together and go get a number 2 or 3 starter that pushes you into the playoffs. I'm doing that all day.
Interesting.
No, you're not doing that all day.
All day.
No, BA, you're not doing that all day, because the one thing that we have to remember, number one, again, it is about the future and also the kids that's in the minor league system. Yep. You're not going to give up some of your best to try to get bounced in the first round.
Well, at least one. You're right, but at least one. Like I look at Jacob Gonzalez as a great example. I mean, the guy's on a different planet, right? He's been so good, but you're like, okay, do we get rid of him while he's probably going to be anyone else's number one prospect, or do we hang on to him, let him go be the 4A guy back and forth, especially if Colson and Mydra out there playing well, and when Mooney gets back, what do they do with him? You know,
now, if you're telling me it's Jacob Gonzalez and like some lower tier, like lower flyers, I'm a little bit more intrigued. I'm with Hoodie on. You're not giving up Hagen Smith and Braden Montgomery.
I got one for you,
in any package. Like they're going to both be here.
Who do you give up? Who do you get?
They're both going to be here by the end of the month.
So I really believe you guys. That. Who do you guys give up in a trade? Would you rather? So if
who am I getting? Who am I acquiring?
Let's say you get a number 3 starter, a guy that can help push you through the second half. I don't know, but like I'm too focused on our guys.
Jack Flaherty.
Hey,
who are you talking about?
I watch one team in the big leagues. Okay, no, but like I'm giving up. I'm giving up Hagen Smith, I'm giving up like a Jacob Gonzalez only because they have depth there.
Yes.
Hagen Smith, you probably hold on to frontline left-handed starter or potential. I still think Hagen Smith's going to be a lockdown closer. No one want. I just think because they never stretch him out, he's got closer shit. I just think he's going to be like a lockdown closer for a long time.
That's fair. That's fair to say. I will have no problem with that because the Sox need one for the future. And so, because it's not Dominguez for the long haul. So
or piggyback him and Grant Taylor, 4.5, 4.5.
I got a name for you.
Here's the point, Guff. Here's the point. You have to decide at the deadline if you feel like you're on the same level as Tampa or the Yankees or Seattle or even the Guardians.
Yeah, but
you feel like you're as good as those teams. And if you think you're good as those teams, then I'm not saying mortgage the future. I'm also not saying prospect hug either.
Me too.
We're not prospect hugging guys until they're 4A players and they get up on this level and they can't play.
Agreed.
I'm talking about you got to be able to be smart with this thing now. Do you feel like you're as good as some of the other better teams in the American League? And if you're not, then you still can make deals, but it can't be your top 4 or 5 prospects.
Don't you think they've answered that on at least on half of it? They know from an offensive standpoint right now, every number and every metric says they are one of the top offenses and slugging teams in the entire game. They trail the Yankees as we tape this by 4 home runs for the overall lead in Major League Baseball. And they've hit home runs without Munetaka Murakami. He's going to come back and be like a post-deadline or post-All-Star break asset. I'm with, like, I just looked up because I'm like, give me a name. I want a name. Sonny Gray. A guy like Sonny Gray, who's a free agent next year. He's on the back end. The Red Sox at some point have to look in the mirror. They've already fired their manager. They're not, I think for them, they could flip Aroldis Chapman and others. But Sonny Gray is 6-1 with a 3.06 as we tape this. He's going to be sought after. He's going to be sought after by a lot of vets. He's an older veteran type guy. He's pitched in the AL Central, as we know. But that's the type of guy that could answer those questions for you, Hoodie, because, and we've piggybacked this podcast and taken it into a different road because we're going to be now talking about the deadline for the next 2 months on this podcast. And if the White Sox can answer the question, Hoodie, about they think they have enough pitching, well, then I think the answer is, yeah, we can hang with the Yankees. We can hang with the Rays. It might not be from an experience standpoint because we have all these young guys that are too dumb to know any better, but the stats and analytics say, yes, I think they have a guy at the back end of their bull. Grant Taylor could be, think about all of the guys in postseason history, just in go back to that Royals team in 2015.
Yeah. Half
those guys, they were like 2-3 year wonders. Grant Taylor could be that guy who's an October hero, in the back end of the bullpen. Hudson just looks like he's on one of those heaters that could last all year.
Funky heater.
So, like, they could go get, like, one guy like a Gray, one other bullpen guy, and just say, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to let everything else add to it.
The only thing I look at is there's a whole bunch of guys in this team that don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
Isn't that great? Listen, you can roll the dice that way. I still would like to have like a veteran presence. You mentioned like a Gray or something like that to be in that rotation. Davis Martin's knees might be knocking if he's game 1 of a playoff or a wild card spot.
Fair.
As good as he is, that it's going to be some not butterflies, condors in his stomach in that spot.
Yeah,
right?
if you're going against Garrett Cole in Game 1, they should be. Like,
yeah.
I mean, in Yankee Stadium for your first playoff start, like
shit, man. I mean, but do you get a Sonny Gray? Like, been there, done that. Like, I got this, right?
Yeah.
I want a couple of guys in which I can say I got this.
But
kids, listen, I know you're under 25. You've never been there before, but you know what? As a veteran, I've been there. I got it. I got you. I need a couple of those guys.
The 03 Marlins, like that happened, right? Josh Beckett was too dumb enough to know. Like they just were a bunch of young guys with 20-year-old Miguel Cabrera got hot and never looked back, and they beat the Cubs and the Yankees to do it. I'm not comparing. Well, I guess I am. Screw it. I'm comparing. Maybe this team has got a little 03 Marlins in them where they're just like, screw it, man, who hover around 500 till the deadline, and you go make one or two trades. And you get like, who'd they have? Edgar Renteria or they had some veteran on their team that was enough.
Sorry.
Jeff Conine. We're buying the 80 wins. We're buying the 80 wins.
I was laughing because I was thinking not to be confused with the 97 Marlins with Livan Hernandez, the largest strike zone. Eric Gray.
Yeah, Cleveland.
He's like, Eric, it's in the other batters box.
Cleveland would have loved ABS all those years ago. All right, so going back to June, as we kind of come back to our top story here. Look, as long as you're not falling on your face in this stretch, guys, where you're going 0-6, you're going 1-10. I think the Sox are good enough to hang around here. And they may lose 2 out of 3. And the first 3 names on our screen, Braves, Yankees, Dodgers. 3.
Oh my God.
That's gauntlet, and back to back to back. By the way, like it starts with the Phillies and ends with the Guardians. I like just those 3 in the middle. If you can tell me, if you can find a way to be 3-6 in that stretch, and then I guess even lose 2 out of 3 to the Phillies, and then beat the Guardians 2 out of 3. God. I know, like I'm sitting here just throwing darts.
Seriously, pessimistic Paulie over here. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna go 2 and 3." Here, I got a call for you, Hoodie.
I'm saying worse. I'm saying the floor. I'm giving you the floor.
Hoodie, I'm making a call right here because you guys laughed. You guys laughed me off the stage with the prediction podcast. The White Sox from June 9th till June 14th. So that 6-game homestand will go 4-2 versus the Braves and the Dodgers.
I'll laugh at that, especially it's the Braves.
Yeah,
might be the best team in baseball.
No, they're going to go 4-2. They're going to pull it out of their hat, and they're going to win. They're going to go 2 or 3 in New York. I'm just saying. I like where our boys are at, man.
I hope so. I hope so. Your lips to God's ears, BA, that's the case. Yep. And it's the Phillies, by the way. We're missing Chris Sanchez, and I saw it start against the Padres in San Diego. He stuck up the Padres' ass. He is every bit of good as
Who else are they missing, Hoodie? Like I think they're missing Nola too. They're missing 2 of the frontline guys.
Well, they've been good. They have been a lot better under Don Mattingly, and they should be. I mean, that's a team. Yeah, Donnie Baseball. That's a team that's built. That's a team that's built to win a World Series now. But like sometimes you get lucky. You miss Sanchez. Maybe Aaron. I'm not rooting for anybody to go to the IL, but right now they're saying for the last month, Aaron Judge has been playing through nagging soreness, and he might be shut down for a little bit now while they can in an American League that they know they can go out and win. So maybe you catch another break, right? Where all of a sudden the slugger's gone. You go 4. Let me tell you something. You go 4-2 in that homestand. You've set yourself up. You stack some bullets to flop in one of those other series. So I think look at this point. I don't know what to expect from the White Sox other than success because they have been fun. Even when they lose, you kind of don't – they just have enough to stop the bleeding. You do.
You can't – BA, if you can't tell, he grew up with Hawk Harrelson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen to that. If you go 4-2, yes.
Hey, Stoney, you're going to win 60. You're going to lose 60. It's what you do with the other 42.
Right, exactly.
I'm just grateful that on Wednesday, June 3rd, as we tape this, I sure am glad to have you both, man. It's been fun this year. We're sure. I'm glad you guys are showing confidence in the team that you both love.
I'm officially buying your 80. It's fine.
I'm going to be light. I'm going to be light. It's going to be more than 80.
You know, Anderson, no one pats themselves on the back more than BA. Let me just say that now.
Every
in the
podcast,
business,
podcast starts with Jonathan Hood, Ryan McGuffey, your table is ready.
Don't mind my Caro. Don't mind my Edgar Caro prediction.
Your breakout season candidate was Edgar Caro, and your all-star selection was Shane Smith. So I
don't even think I said Shane Smith. I'm going to go back. I don't think I did. Did I?
Yes.
Damn it.
Yeah. I said Murakami.
Shocker.
Yeah.
So Ryan, are we saying 3 All-Stars for the Sox?
Yes.
Martin, Murakami, and
Vargas.
What's that voting looking like lately? Are they still?
They just started. The voting started this week. So
how's the baseball voting going?
Well, I'm assuming Vargas will be somewhere around 12th in the voting. Because that's usually how it works. So thank God there's the player vote, and it's in thirds now. Player vote, and then MLB.
If Colson could
coaches vote, the coaches vote. Yeah.
There was a time, Hoodie, back in the day where Colson's playing well. There'd be a time where if you're like, hey Colson, come here real quick. If you just hit 250, you'll be an all-star. It's like, no, absolutely not. 220 it is. Like, it just blows my mind because it's crazy. It's tough to do like that. Those are Mark Reynolds numbers. Like, hey man, 225 with 34. You're like, man, Colson, you're such a better hitter than that. That's where I bang my head up against the wall. I'm like, him and Murakami, you see such tremendous at bats, and then you're like 230. Like that doesn't make sense. Brian Nicola Anderson from 05 to 09. That's a 230 hitter. Like I never saw a slider in the dirt that I didn't like, but you throw me a fastball middle away, it's not coming back.
I mean, you mentioned Colson Montgomery,
he should be a candidate.
He's a bubble guy. Like he leads all shortstops and home runs. He leads first in the AL in RBIs. He is he's down the list a little bit in runs. I mean, I think he's got
Where's he at in average? About 850th?
He's going to be down there in average and stuff and walks. Kevin McGonigal's probably Detroit's guy, but Colson's knocking on the all-star door. I'll be pissed if Vargas continues to play like this and doesn't get to go. I will. And I think Davis, as long as Davis Martin rebounds from his last start and gets back into a rhythm, he's, to me, a lock to be an all-star. He's just been part of the good story. I think Major League Baseball, there was so much momentum with Murakami. MLB was really loving the story of Murakami and the White Sox kind of going hand in hand. So there's just been a little bit of a pause. So now it's up to the guys who are currently there on the 26th man to keep the momentum rolling.
Yeah, as we put a bow on it. I think
no bow. We're not ready for the bow yet.
Oh, my bad. So so let me tell you, Hoodie, you have this commitment from me. In the next couple weeks, I will get a video of Guff on tell me why Miguel Vargas should be an all-star. You tell the fans of Major League Baseball outside the city of Chicago why Miguel Vargas should be an all-star. I guarantee you he's gonna rant that guy right into the top 3 votes.
Sounds like a social video. I've heard that there's one out there currently.
Yeah, let's see.
Hence I wore the Cubby Blue on. If I'm an intentional bastard, and I know so is Hoodie and I have that in our blood as part of us. This is not on accident. I'm just gonna say
it's good on you.
I'm just gonna. Did you see our guy Chuck Garfine's tweet about the Chicago White Sox and Chicago Cubs through 61 games?
I did. Tell us about it.
I don't think BA has.
Time out, Chuck. Just Chuck Garfine, I'm talking to you. I've known you 20 freaking years. You don't follow me on Twitter, I'll destroy you. I will destroy you. I will show up on set. I will sabotage you. I will throw myself in oncoming traffic. That's blasphemy.
Wow.
Chuck, I'm texting you.
So we're doing podcast wars. We're doing the Band of Brothers with the 108, and we're fighting CHSN.
Yeah, just be careful. I think that Garfine might be litigious. Be careful.
Yeah, I'm coming after you, Chuck.
All right. So here's the tweet I was discussing. Okay. Games, White Sox and Cubs. This is through 61 games. Runs, 285 to 285. Average, White Sox 238, Cubs 238. Record, White Sox 32-29, Cubs 32-29.
That's wild.
Somebody edited this tweet and resent it to Chuck and put at the end, vibes, White Sox fun, Cubs nervous.
That's great.
If you throw a payroll on there too, it's about $200 million difference or so as well.
Yes.
For those of you watching here on YouTube, I'd like to point out that Jonathan Hood does occasionally do a wardrobe change here.
He gets me every time.
Just in fairness to those who listen on Apple and Spotify and wherever else you listen, and we thank you for doing that. I like to acknowledge those people who can't see the podcast and Jonathan Hood's in-game wardrobe changes.
You also like to acknowledge something that's not true. So I don't understand. I had this on the whole time. So you being a blind bastard, not understanding that I had this on the whole time. And you could describe to people what I'm wearing, by the way, radio guy. You could do that.
Yeah.
Bruce has taught you the business very well. So.
Well, Danny said I'm a score guy, so I have no business ever being in the Board of Trade building, I guess. So I'll just keep walking into One Prudential Plaza from now on until someone else decides to fix the check.
You're always welcome to me, man. You're always welcome.
Milwaukee Brewers. The first place Milwaukee Brewers is what dons on the hood of Jonathan Hood. Yes. How about that?
Woodrow Wilson. I love it.
I've had this the whole time.
The whole time. The County Stadium, Milwaukee Brewers.
I love it. You're that top 3 best logos in baseball, too. I've always loved that logo.
Oh, yeah. The MB mitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, can we?
Yep. Go ahead.
Can we? No. I know every time we get together, we're talking about like Acuna and whether or not he's going to make the ball club or stay on the ball club. But that bastard, man, he's giving you 1980s baseball, stealing bases, taking great jumps. I mean, he was great the other day. So it's like Acuna, can we just make a pact as a recap show? Yeah. Acuna stays as like the last guy on the roster. Let's not send him down. Can we?
If he survived this, like once Murakami went down, he's going nowhere. They need the infield depth. And then he goes out and does something. So I'm with you. Like the Swiss Army knife that he is, he's a threat on base. My son, he's watching more White Sox baseball, which is great. He stops me the other day and says, hey, there's a good stat on the White Sox game. And I was like, oh, yeah, what is it? And he said, Acuna just is the first player since 2010 to have 3 stolen bases in a game.
That's crazy. Like, Jackson would know. Jackson's as fast.
First of all,
that
blows my mind. The White Sox haven't had a player in 16 years to do that, but
speed recognizes speed.
It tells you that stat tells you the weapon that Acuna can be. He's not going to be a great hitter. He's not. All 3 sit here and tell you that it's of his top 5 strengths, it ranks 6th. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you use the versatility and the speed as a weapon for this team.
You tell it's like telling the old umpires that you knew pretty well. You go, you know what, Ted? Like you're my second favorite umpire. Oh yeah, I'm like everybody else is tied for first. I love that.
Well, go ahead. You mentioned those 80s vibes. Funny you should say that the White Sox did announce earlier this week that on June 27th they will celebrate the 1983 Win and Ugly team. And I'm happy to note that a lot of the roster is going to be there. Tony La Russa, of course, that's not a big shock that he'll be a part of it, but up and down the lineup, the Ron Kittle, of course, the Rookie of the Year. I'll pull up the list here while Hoodie. I know that team was very near and dear to your heart. I was a young lad at the time. I was 4 years old when the White Sox won the AL West in '83.
So, and that's also funny for some of our younger listeners is like, yes, kids, it was the American League Western Division champions, Chicago White Sox. Makes no sense from a geographical standpoint, but that was the case. I was still not really into soccer, so I know the Chicago Sting won a championship. That was the first championship of my lifetime, but the Sox meant the most to me because I'm a White Sox fan. And that 83 team, listen, you talk about a bunch of guys on the South Side that were famous across the city because before the 84 Cubs, 83 team won the championship. But they had so many personalities. I was so into Carlton Fisk when he first got with the Cubs. That game is still on YouTube, by the way. Sox, Red Sox, the first game of the season in 81, where Carlton Fisk is at Fenway Park. He hits a key home run or a game-winning RBI to help the Sox beat the Red Sox in 81. He's part of the 83 team. Greg Luzinski and Harold Baines. But my favorite, never told you this, my favorite player on the 83 team,
Richard Johnson.
Rudy
Law.
Oh, man.
Well, that sums up the 83 Sox. Go ahead, Hoodie.
Well, lost 77 stolen bases in 83. Yeah. I mean, we talk about Acuna. That guy, when he got on, it was automatic when Rudy Law was there, right? And so
everyone in the park knew, and the team, the opposing team knew, and they couldn't stop it.
No, it just like that lineup was great. The pitching staff was led by Lamar Hoyt, Lance Lynn. That did a great job.
For real.
And like Dot, my guy, Richard Dotson, and Britt Burns, who used to have like those, like, you know how your girlfriend
Chop.
or your wife have those little pins in the hat?
Yep.
Because he had the big bushy hair and he used to like have bobby pins in his hat. So because his hat would fly off after every pitch, he had to have the pins in to hold his hair and his hat together.
And what might have been with Britt Burns, I mean, a lot of people, I know this, like he pitches into the 10th inning of an extra inning game against the Baltimore Orioles, and fucking Tito Landrum hit a home run that still pisses me off, and I was 4.
core memory. You know, my favorite player on that team, that 83 team, I believe, Walk had to have been like a rookie or maybe second year, because his first full year. He worshiped like, you know, the Kittles and what's the Lizinski and those guys, like, so my favorite player on that team, I'm partial, is Gregory Lee Walker.
Me too.
But my second is Kittle, but Kittle still holds one of the greatest worst comments ever. You know,
that checks.
Kittle's unbelievable. No, we're having a great time. We're sitting there talking behind. Well, we're sitting there talking behind our the turtle taking BP, and he's just down there bullshitting. And Bobby Jenks is out there. You know, Bobby Jenks, specimen wise, is probably one of the largest human beings I've ever seen, and on top of that, very athletic. Bobby also had the biggest calves I've ever seen, biggest legs. It was incredible. I remember Kittle looking at us and being like, "Yeah," and Bobby might have been standing there, but he's like, "You know, Bobby Jenks' legs." We're like, "Yeah." He's like tiny chicken legs compared to Tom Seaver. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, Kittle. Like, chicken legs. Like, Bobby outweighs Tom Seaver by 400 pounds. What are you talking about?
Seaver's a 300-game Hall of Famer.
And I love Seaver, but
here's the list, by the way. Like, this is what the White Sox do really well. They did it really well with you guys last year for the 05. Here's who's heading the list. It'll be Harold and Fisk, as you mentioned, and Tony La Russa.
Yeah.
Floyd Bannister, Britt Burns, Richard Dotson, Scotty Fletcher, Lorenzo Gray, Jerry Hairston, Guy Hoffman, Ron Kittle, Dennis Lamp, Vance Law, Rudy Law, Greg Luzinski, Randy Martz, Joel Skinner, Mike Squires, and Greg Walker. And if there's any innings left in some of that Bannister, whose son, by the way, is Brian Bannister, who runs the White Sox pitching lab, Britt Burns or Dotson, I think the White Sox will use him on June 27th. Great lineup there, Hoodie.
Give me the one guy that you put on this 2026 team that can make a difference.
You're going to say Richard Dotson right now. I know you are.
I love that.
No, wait. You guys got to hear this.
I'd probably go pitcher, but I do. The Rudy Law thing's kind of fun. You know, if the team has so much slug that I think I have to go pitcher. I'd probably go Britt Burns. He threw 4 complete game shutouts that year, by the way.
He did. He did.
You want to, hey, Hoodie, just to get selfish for a second, talk about what a great game baseball is, right? Like how what goes around comes around, like, and the brotherhood is so small. So just bear with me. So bear with me. Floyd Bannister played against Brian Bannister when Brian Bannister was at USC, right? Known him for 20 years. Yeah. Richard Dotson was my pitching coach when I was in A-ball, right? Scott Fletcher, his daughter is Brooke working with CHSN, so that'll be cool. Jerry Hairston, I played with his son in high school. Scott Hairston and I played, me, Ian Kinsler, Scott Hairston, Chris Duncan, Shelly Duncan. That was my high school team. Known Ron Kittle for forever. No Greg Luzinski. Joel Skinner, the old third base coach for the Indians, right?
Yep.
I mean, so he was there when I was playing against the Sox, and then Greg Walker was my hitting coach. So just off that 83 team, think about the degrees of separation is incredible, man.
Wow. That's awesome. And Harold Baines was your first base coach, and you were managed by Tony La Russa. Oh no, you weren't.
But check this out, Tony La Russa. But this is what's really actually a special moment at Chris Duncan's funeral. Tony La Russa spoke, and then I spoke. And so, you know, to make light of the situation, and just because, I mean, it was a bunch of us friends like that played with each other, and all of those brothers were back. And I looked at Tony, and right after that speech, because it was incredible, I'm like, thanks a lot, Tony. Like, I got to follow that. And then, you know, that crowd was laughing. But, like, it's just crazy how this baseball brotherhood, it's so tried and true. It's never ending.
Well, let's hope that I'm bringing up I don't know if you know this about the 83 White Sox, and I know Hoodie does, but I wanted to bring it up before we sign off here.
Floyd Bannister could shove, brother.
But you know what? I'm going to change my answer to Floyd, because if Brian gets him in the pitching lab, then I think we could probably recreate Floyd Bannister.
Let's do it.
God.
Could you imagine?
Good. He's crafty, man. Now, he was just strong. He wasn't crafty. He wasn't one of these rubber arm. He pitched strong from the left side.
So the White Sox were 3 games over at the All-Star break in 1983.
And they are right now, right?
They're 3 games over. And as we tape this, they're 3 games over. That White Sox team won 99 games.
Yeah, that's the 06 White Sox.
They were 3 games over. So maybe someday down the line, a Jackson McGuffey has hosted a White Sox podcast.
A Scarlett Anderson.
Scarlett Anderson and Jackson McGuffey are bringing you the White Sox Recap Podcast 5 decades from now as they celebrate the 2026 White Sox.
I'll be long gone, dude.
Me too. Yeah, they'll be doing it in memory of.
I'll be a grandfather.
Ursula. They'll be doing it in memory of the Snellius family and McGuffey Anderson. Yeah, and they'll be playing at the new field at Ishbia Park, right there in the rail yard.
It'll be in Hammond, Indiana.
So many darts here at the end of this podcast.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
All right. Well, let's see what happens here as the White Sox start this stretch. I'm looking forward to watching them. I'm waiting. I never root for time to pass, but give me past the 4 to 6 week mark so we can get Munetaka Murakami back in the lineup. Jonathan Hood, Brian Anderson, always fun when the 3 of us get together. We appreciate you watching and listening to this edition of the White Sox Recap Podcast. If you don't subscribe already, come on, get on board. 250,000 others are doing it. Click that notification bell every time these 3 knuckleheads drop a podcast. You get the notification that there's a new episode. And thanks for listening, audio only, where you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and elsewhere. For Hoodie, for BA, I'm Guff. We'll see you next time on the White Sox Recap Podcast.
I miss the slurve.